Hello, everyone. The Queen is dead. Long live the King. Elizabeth II passed away yesterday, and I am planning to do a series on her placements and the Lestra's placements, and also on King Charles III's transits and progressions. And this is the very first one in the series. And let's take a look. I'm not going to spend too much time with her natal chart because it is very, very well researched. I will only add a couple of things that are important or relevant from a karmic viewpoint. As you know, she has a Capricorn rising, and Saturn, the chart ruler, is on the midheaven. So that is a very, very strong placement. It means determination, the acceptance of duties, things that I'm going to take this very, very seriously. What you may not know is the fact that the sun is at 0 degrees Taurus, so it's just barely there. And in karmic astrology, what we say whenever we see a sun placement that is past 29.5 degrees and within 0.5 degrees, so somewhere in the first half degree and the last half degree, we call it a pushed soul. What it means, this particular soul did not want to incarnate, or shunned the task, or she just wasn't. She was hesitating, or she was scared, and his or her higher self pushed her into incarnation. And if you take a look at the royal family, a lot of the family members have the same placement. So that's quite interesting. Also, we should add, which is important, I think, that if you take a look at her reign and also the last century, this has been a terrible era, really a terrible era, with 2 world wars, with lots of crisis and bloodshed and horrible ideas. And by the time her reign is finishing, unfortunately, Great Britain is no longer that great. It lost its superpower nature. It lost its empire nature. Now it's only a nation state. And even at that, it is a struggling nation state. And I think what is really important to me, it was shocking to see how some really prominent liberals were despising her. And even in her last, I know last rites means something else. It means something in the Roman Christian Catholicism, but still you need to give a person last rites by giving her or him honor when he is dead. Anyhow, so let's get back to this. Another thing which is important from the karmic viewpoint is the fact that Chiron is conjunct her sun. It's a separating conjunction, but still a conjunction. So healing old wounds is somehow incorporated in her life tasks that she has chosen. The south node is on her ascendant, whereas the north node is on her descendant. The south node is the sum total of her karmic experiences and the behavior pattern when she's being cornered or threatened, which is Capricorn, of course, which means that I'm going to stand firm. And her north node, her chosen destiny, is on the descendant, meaning that I need to find my partner, which she did. It's also interesting that there are intercepted signs. Actually, the Leo Aquarius dichotomy is intercepted in the 1st and 7th houses. And so actually the moon and Mars, 2 of her personal planets, are intercepted. And of course, Jupiter and Neptune and a couple of asteroids as well. So that is maybe those are the highlights from a karmic viewpoint. Also maybe that the black moon Lilith is conjunct Neptune. Neptune is of course transcendence, and the black moon is the 3rd turning point of the Lilith myths, which means stamina, endurance owner and the fact that I know what's right and I know what needs to be done. Okay, so that's her chart. And she passed away at 1630 on December the 8th, yesterday, at Balmoral Castle. And this is a space-time moment, which I'm not going to elaborate too much, because actually most of the placement, except for the moon, are the same as in my previous video on the Pisces full moon. The only thing that I would like you to highlight or to see is the fact that the moon is conjunct Saturn, and also in a later video I will show you her progressions, and her progressed moon is exactly where this transiting moon is. And it's also important to know or realize that the moon is always there in that chart. For some reason, the moon is always prominent. And the other thing that I would point out is the fact that the ascendant is exactly, of course, it's Sagittarius rising, but it is exactly at the galactic center. And the galactic center in karmic astrology denotes the dilemma of to be or not to be. So that's it. And all the rest of the placements and configurations you can check out in my Pisces full moon video, which is on Asterion. So it's quite interesting. Anyhow, the sun was already applying with an alignment with Asterion even yesterday. So it wasn't there yet, but it will be there only tomorrow. So here are the Queen's death transits. How should I put it? So inside is her natal chart, and outside are the transiting planets. As you can see, she natally has a Mars Jupiter conjunction opposite Neptune, and the Sun Saturn is actually highlighting that. And there's also the Jupiter Mercury conjunction, transiting Jupiter on her Mercury, transiting Chiron on her Sedna, creation through dissection. So those were maybe the conjunctions. It's not really important. Is what I found important at the first glance was that the fact that, of course, Pluto was retrograding towards her ascendant, but of course it's way far away. Pluto was conjunct her ascendant a couple of years ago, and that was also a period when her health wasn't really great, but she survived and she came out of this period quite nicely. But quite often when there's a death, you find a lot of retrograde planets, and this is the case here as well. Look at how many: Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, Chiron, Uranus are all retrograde at the moment. Here is the synastry grid. Here on the upper side are her placements, and here below are the ones the transiting ones. And I counted how many really tight aspects there were. Within 1 degree, there are 97 aspects, plus 6, which are special, which I'm going to show you later. 97 within 1 degree. This is very, very unusual. This is a very prominent thing. And here are the most relevant ones. I'm going to give you a couple of ideas about the Quindecilla in a minute, but let's take a look at the others. Sun sesquiquadrate, and so the sun was exactly sesquiquadrating her own sun. And sesquiquadrate is a funny aspect in transits, because it denotes a time when you first live through a very frustrating period, after which you can actually do something about the situation, and you can actually resolve it either by some big effort or by completely changing your perspective. The moon was exactly conjunct Jupiter and opposite Neptune, so highlighting the Jupiter-Neptune opposition, which is, by the way, describing your dreams, how you can believe in your dreams and how you are able to fulfill your dreams. So that was the moon highlighting it. The Saturn was exactly conjunct Mars, blocking your life force. Neptune was trining Saturn, again within 1 degree. And again, we see the retrograde period. And Neptune trine Saturn is really the dissolution of structures, the dissolution of solid, down-to-earth things. Death is one of them, of course. And then Pluto was exactly trining her IC. And Vesta was squaring the MCIC. So Vesta, the focusing principle, was like, shall I stay or shall I go? And then, of course, Pluto is the complete transformation. And also the space-time moments ascendant was quincunxing her IC. And so those are the more or less traditional aspects, but you have 3 quindeciles. Quindeciles are 165 degrees. An American astrologer, Ricky Reeves, wrote a whole book on that's the title, the quindecile. And it denotes obsession and ambition, both to be obsessed with something and also to be ambitious about something. Ricky Reeves says about people who have quindeciles. First of all, she says that all great, important people have 1 or 2 or 3. And at the same time, it can be, it can actually make you very ambitious, but also obsessed. So both are there. And here are 3 within 1 degree. Mars, midheaven, quindecile, to fulfill my future. And midheaven, IC quindecile, the future is letting go. And the IC Saturn quindecile, again, death. So that's for me, it was quite revealing. And then there were 13 exact transits within 0 degrees and 5 minutes of an orb. You can't be tighter than that. So I really paid a lot of attention to this. It took me 2-3 hours to prepare these tables. So actually, these are really, really the tightest ones. And out of the 13, I collected these, the Neptune, Moon Neptune transit. So the transiting Moon opposite her Neptune, again, highlighting the dreams. The Mars midheaven quindecile, I want to push towards my chosen life goal, which is now leaving, of course. The Saturn North Node, so it's like the end of my duties, the end of my chosen, there's an end to my chosen destiny, my destiny choice. The South Node is quindecile, the Sun. It simply means that, okay, I can add ambitiously something to my life, to my karmic experiences. The IC is quindecile Saturn, again, within almost 0. And Chiron is spot on Sedna, again, karmic wounds around the dissection and creation through dissection. And what is really interesting, there's a septile, there's a Uranus septile. Septile is 51 degrees, 27 minutes. It's 1/7 of the circle. And a lot of astrologers never work with it. It's the mystics. It's the mystical aspect. It is the transcendental aspect because it is exactly the angle of the Great Pyramid. So, and Uranus, so this is what we call a life transit. Uranus is, of course, letting go, becoming free, allowing yourself to become free. It's quite fascinating to me. And what I would like to show you is something that I'm playing with. Those who know me know that I have been observing aspects and playing around with aspects and trying to find new energies within aspects and configurations. And the story that goes with this is a friend of mine, a fellow astrologer who has been researching death. And she knew that I was working with the quindecile, which is 165 degrees. And she called me and asked me what the orb was. And I said 1 degree, maybe 1.5 with the luminaries. Okay, then I don't know what to do. And say, why? What's up? And she said that I consequently always get 162 degrees in that chart. Some of them, I mean, not all, but like, of course, but quite a few, like 2-3 of them, very relevant ones. And I blurted out, yes, because this is a very important aspect at the end of life stage. It's the novice semidecile. It's 162 degrees, which you get either by adding a biquintile to a semi-decile. The decile is 36 degrees professionalism, and half of it is what I call the life germ essence. And if you add them up, you get a novice semidecile, or 9 times 18 degrees, the life germ. And of course, the orb is only 1 degree, and the glyph is a Y. I just couldn't find anything better. You know, when you work with solar fire, you really have a very restricted way to enter new stuff in it, according to glyphs. But Y is perfectly good for me, and there are 6 of them. What does a novice semi or semi-decile mean? Life essence, the substance carried over after death. So these are the things that you carry over when you die. And when you take a look at the death chart, those are transits, of course. So the transiting planets can make novi semi-deciles to your natal placements, and those will show you what the substances are that you carry over from this life. Something like that's why I call it the life essence aspect. Now let's take a look at them. The sun, the transiting sun, makes it with Mercury, so highlighting your knowledge. Pluto to Ceres, and Ceres is just the nurturing principle. Of course, she was a mother of 4, and she was the mother of a whole nation, and not just the nation, but the whole monarchy and also the empire. The ascendant is making it to Pluto, the end life stage. This is what I'm carrying over, transformation. The descendant is making one with Astrea, the karma breaker. And we know that she was very, very sad after Prince Philip's death. And then the south node is making one with Chiron. So actually the past experiences and karmic wounds become essences. And then Pallas Athena is making one with the south node, understanding my karmic experiences and creating wisdom out of them. So this is what Queen Elizabeth carried over. These were her transits only. In a separate video, I'm going to show you her progressions, and then maybe progressions and solar arcs in one. And then we are going to also look at Charles III, King of England, and to see his transits, how he experienced his mother's death. Rest in peace, Queen Elizabeth. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.